What's going on out there? Hope everyone is well. You've reached Dad's Break, where I come on, review some books, and just take my break. Take my break away from the kids, take my break away from the family and the wife, and just talk to you about the books that I've read this month. I'm a little late with this one for the month of April. This is the day after Mother's Day. So first and foremost, let me say Happy Mother's Day to you all. My mother is the best mother to ever live. Coming in second place, but tied for first place also is my wife. So happy Mother's Day to both of you guys. First off, can y'all give it up for the shirt? This is my favorite shirt. My boys don't like this shirt, but I think it's fly, you know. So I wear it because I do what I want. So first book. Whoa, 1 second. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this page if you like these reviews and if you have a book that you would like me to review. So first and foremost, the first book I don't have, but I did read, was a book by C.S. Lewis called The Great Divorce. Not my favorite book in the world. I read it. I got up to page, I think 75. I couldn't even remember what the book was about. So I went back to the beginning, tried to read it again. It's a book on this guy who is a nonfiction book on this guy who is debating whether he wants to get on this bus to heaven or not. And wasn't my favorite book in the world. But again, I've never read anything by C.S. Lewis, nor have I grew up reading Christian authors, I guess, other than the Bible. So not my favorite book, but you know, check it out if you like. Second book, right, which was a great book, I thought, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This was a great book. I enjoyed it. It's a self-help book where he gives some great guidance. I'll give you the four agreements that he said that he has towards self-help. One is be impeccable with your words. 2 is don't take anything personal. 3 is don't make assumptions. And 4 is always do your best. And I thought they were great. The way he explained it. This guy is a healer. Actually comes from a healing family, ancient family inside of Mexico. I'm sure you can hear the dogs barking. This is wonderful. But it was good. One thing I learned from the book, and my biggest takeaway from the book, was when he spoke about forgiveness and saying if you are ever wondering if you've forgiven someone or not, think about when you hear their name, if there's something that goes through you that's a negative feeling or reaction. Because we can always say we've forgiven someone, but you can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to your subconscious. So when you see that person, do you say, in your head, do you say, oh man, here we go again? When you hear their name, do you, when someone else has the same name as them, do you give that kind of look that says you don't care for that person? And if you do, then within you haven't forgiven that person. You said it vocally, but you inside of you haven't forgiven them. So I thought that was good. I thought that was a good measuring stick. My third and final book that I read for the month, which is why I was a little late. I forgot the book a couple times in places where I like to read at, was The Ambassador by Paul Richter. This was an amazing book. I give this book 5 stars. Mr. Richter is he was never a Foreign Service officer, but he's written about Foreign Service for over 30 years. An amazing guy. A lot of close-up interviews and a lot of takeaways from this book when it comes to the Foreign Service officer. He spoke on 3 or 4 ambassadors in particular. The 4 ambassadors were Robert Ford, Chris Stevenson, Ann Patterson, and Ryan Crocker. And I thought he did a great job, especially with the sensitive subject of Chris Stevenson, who was an ambassador that was killed in Benghazi, which was a very controversial subject even till this day, because you had Secretary Clinton, who was the Secretary of State at the time, so that was his boss, and she also ran for president within the next couple years. And there were countless of meetings and investigations to go along with his death to see exactly what happened. And this book gives a great breakdown of exactly what happened, essentially saying it was everyone's fault, but it was no one's fault because there were so many different things that went on. For example, Chris Stevenson asked for more security, but the kind of security that he wanted, Hillary Clinton at the time was unable to give it to him. So she gave him some alternatives, which were some uniformed military personnel to go to Benghazi and protect them, which he rejected. And he rejected it based on his experience being in foreign countries and how that would look by putting military people on the ground in such a sensitive country at the time, because they had just got rid of Muammar Gaddafi during that time. So it's an amazing book, amazing read. If you're interested in any kind of foreign service or just about the cultures in another country and how they how what their relationship is with us. Another thing I took away from it, he spoke a lot about the Obama era and the Bush era, was the information that they get, how they have to take in, all this information from these people. So with the foreign service officers, which are usually these ambassadors, right? They're there for, they spend 20, 30 years. So they're there and they get to know the country. So when they tell the president something, they want the president to listen because they feel like they know more than most people do. So the president has to take that into account. And the president also has, as in Iraq and Afghanistan, and Syria and Benghazi, different places, he has military people over there. So he has all of our intelligence agencies over there. And as in Afghanistan and Iraq, he actually has troops over there fighting. So he has to take those generals and what they think, their thoughts, into consideration. And then he has his political appointees at home, which say essentially, if you don't do this, then you might not get reelected, right? And your numbers at home will dwindle. So he has these three people all telling him, look, I'm the one that has the answer for you. So then you'll have the foreign service officers not agreeing with the military, who's not agreeing with the political people. And it's just, man, I don't know how presidents do it, but kudos to them. Because after reading this book, I have a lot more respect for the job that they do and trying to navigate through all the information that is being presented to them. So for this month, that brings us to this month's book, the month of May. I will start this book. I do not know if I will finish it. It's a huge book. It's a topic that I've been wanting to read for a long time now. A very interesting character. This guy named Che. Some of you might know him from the Cuban Revolution. An interesting guy. One of my hobbies on my days off is reading and looking at documentaries about people that were very controversial characters in history, and none have been more controversial than Che, right? What do you think about him? Well, it depends on where you live. If you live in America, you might have one perception of him. If you're from Cuba, you might have another perception of him. If you're in Argentina, you might have a totally different perception of who he was, what he did, and the path that he took. And I just think he's an interesting character. Looking forward to it. This book is nothing short of, just about 800 pages. So that's gonna be crazy. I don't even know if I'll get through it. I have another book that I think it's a nonfiction book that I've wanted to start. So maybe I'll just read, 1 or 2 chapters a day of this book until I get finished. But we'll see. So thank you again for coming in. I'm Arthur Rashad. I've written the book myself. If you ever want to read this nonfiction, awesome book called Fatherless Son, How the Criminal Justice System Tore My Family Apart and Brought Us Back Together. You can purchase this book at arthurrashad.com. That's AUTHORRASHOD. But thank you again for coming here. All that's going on in the world, I know it's a lot of craziness. I feel like this is the time I can come here and just talk and do some things that I like to do. And this has been nice out here. I don't think it was too bad. It wasn't in my little confined area with my books in the back. It's just me, a little plant, have my dog right there, and listening to the birds chirp and enjoying life. So take care of yourself. Take care of the person next to you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this page. Amen. Take care. Peace.